Dr. Daniel Shayesteh is
Mhm.
with us today, and an incredible life story that we're going to try and pack into a few minutes here. Dr. Daniel, you grew up in Iran. You were born in Iran,
Yes.
got very politically involved as a young man, I've heard. Could you just tell us a little bit about that part of your life?
Yes, I was born in a Muslim family. My father had two wives and 12 children. We were all living together in a house. From childhood, I was the one nominated to learn religion and recite the Quran. So I did well, and at the age of 9, I became very famous. And so people called me to their different religious ceremonies. I performed Islamic rituals and recited the Quran. And so that was a foundation for me that after finishing my high school and entering university, I became a radical Muslim in the university, followed Ayatollah Khomeini against the king of Iran. King of Iran was a westernized guy, wanted to westernize the country, and also accepted Israel as a country. So that those two things were problem for committed Muslims. They has they hate Western culture and also hate if you are pro-Israeli or accept, a land for Jews. So according to Islam, he had to be killed. So the Ayatollah Khomeini aimed at his life, and of course, he had also many followers like me in Iran. So under his leadership, we did something, lots of protests, and eventually the king left the country. The country fell in our hand. So we started to rule the country by Islamic law.
So you were part of that Iranian revolution in the late 1970s then?
Yes, I was. I was actually a famous man. I was initially invited to become one of the chief commanders of the Revolutionary Army. If you remember that couple of months ago, Israel killed 40 of those commanders. I was going to be their boss, their
Hmm.
chief commander, if I went, accepted his Ayatollah's call. But something happened, and then I became an opposition. I didn't go, and therefore, saved myself from the consequence of that army. And army is a very terroristic, army just prepares terrorists, and the goal is to capture Israel and eventually, to attack other countries, especially Western countries, and to make them, Islamic. So that's the goal of the army. And praise God, something happened that I didn't go there. Uh,
You,
Jesus had a plan for me, I think, in the future. So he didn't
you
allow me to go there.
you had like pretty deeply held religious convictions. What was that moment that started unraveling that for you and brought you to Jesus? How does a radical Muslim all of a sudden become a follower of Jesus?
I got a death sentence in Iran. I became opposition to Ayatollah. Was a very famous man, and announced my candidacy for Islamic Parliament. His group, his party, invited me to become their candidate. I rejected that. By the time he was himself the chief commander of the Revolutionary Army, and he started to get rid of the opposition because Revolutionary Army or religious guard, they just penetrated everywhere, made the life, excuse me, hell for the opposition.
Hmm.
Even though independent had won the election, one of my colleagues became the president with 88% of people's vote. He was independent.
Yeah.
But that angered Ayatollah because he lost with 2%. And so he just wanted to get rid of them, even wanted to kill the elected president. And then president ran away from the country, and government was just collapsed. And some were able to run away, some were killed. I was one of them, quote and put in a death cell waiting on death row with four others.
Right. Yeah, you
But
were sentenced to death, right?
yes, yes, all four were killed, but I was able to run away by the help of some of my friends who were in high position. They played some legal game, released
Hmm.
me temporarily, so I could run away from Iran to Turkey. In Turkey, I didn't know really about my future. Turkish is my mother language, so I didn't have any problem for communication Turkish there. A little bit different, so I spent a few months learning the language. And then to leave there, I needed a visa. The easiest way was to get a student visa. So I enrolled in a doctorate program in Istanbul University. And the major of my doctorate was about cultures, religions, and philosophical beliefs. So I had to compare the world's major religions and ideologies like communism, socialism, humanism, and others to see in what way they affect the life of their people, what kind of, approaches they have towards human freedom, individual freedom, what
Mhm.
kind of families they have, what kind of organizational culture, leadership, ethic, morality. So I had to compare all of them and see which one is the best, has the best value. Um, I before doing that, I was thinking I would find good things about Islam because we were always taught that Islam is the most perfect religion and last religion in the world. I never thought about Christianity, but after my investigation, I was totally surprised and shocked to see that my so-called perfect Islam was the least of all other religions,
Mhm.
very immature, uh, very nomadic, but discovered that Christianity was in everything perfect and superior. Like only in Christianity freedom makes sense. Because Islam, socialism, they are totalitarianism. Totalitarianism, doesn't walk hand in hand with individual freedom. And religions like, New Age, paganism, Hinduism, they are a passive religion philosophically and doctrinally speaking. Their focus is only on individual.
Mhm.
When you're fully based on individual, you're calling yourself God. Therefore, excuse me, community doesn't make sense for you. Freedom only makes sense when you have a community. That community described your external freedom and also your internal freedom. How do you think about them? How do you respect their, individual freedom and dignity? So I discovered that only Christianity believes in freedom. And then the family in Christianity is unique. No other religions and ideologies have such a family.
Mhm.
One lady, one man come together, they become one because only the absolute source of oneness or unconditional love is connecting them together.
Mhm.
And so they are one in a sense that the interest of one doesn't threaten the interest of other one. That doesn't exist in any other cultural religion. You know, respect, kindness, and love in all other ideologies and religions are relative, just conditional.
When you started investigating Jesus, then did that have an impact on, say, your view of women? I think you've spoken on that before. I've heard, right? So, what changed for you there then?
It was just amazing. You just see that simple influential logic that all are created by the image of one God. That image
Mm.
creates people with equal opportunity and right. You know, in Islam, ladies are inferior creatures. Even the Prophet of Islam says they carry the spirit of beast. You need to
Mm.
beat them and correct them. In Hinduism, caste system, ladies are the just laws part of that. But that's not the case in Christianity.
Yeah,
God, one mind, one image created
yeah.
them together. One is not better than the other one.
Paul said, right? There's neither Jew nor Gentile anymore. There's neither female nor male anymore, right?
Yeah,
We are all created in
exactly,
God's image. Mm.
exactly. And then going to other parts, I was amazed. Like Christian organizational culture, I discovered that Christian organizational culture is the best culture taught in the universities and used in the world. The most successful, businesses in the world follow Christian organizational culture, because Christian organizational culture says you are the members of one body.
Mm.
And imagine your own body, my
Yeah.
hands, legs, eyes, they are 100% with each other. In other words, unity in organizational culture of Christianity is the central focus. What does it mean? That means you need to take care of the members of organization. You have to look after them.
Well, what a
You,
great reminder too. I think we forget that as Christians too, right? We focus on our differences
exactly.
with our, different theologies from denomination to denomination, but a great reminder that no, we are all one, part of one body, right? And we're
Yeah.
given different gifts,
Yeah.
like different parts of the bodies are, and we can make literally a world of difference when we come together in unity, hey?
Exactly. And then go to leadership. Leadership style of Christianity is also the number one in the world. The leadership, the best leadership that taught in the university. I was myself a professor of university almost for a decade. We were teaching there. The best style of leadership is the humble, charismatic, and participative leadership. You cannot find this in any other religion and ideology but in the gospel. Why leaders should be humble? Because only humble leader allows people to, share their opinions. Opinions cross each other, and then you discover the best opinion, and you follow the best because you love to follow the best. Everybody loves to follow the best, and then you become creative. So I saw that leadership in Jesus, in Christianity, is the only creative leadership among all other leadership, and world needs the creative leadership. A humble leadership gets the opinion of others and opens the door, paves the ground for people to take part in decision making. And that was actually a great power in the Western country against communism, because communism was just thinking Western culture is the exploiting culture. Of course, in the West, there were some dark ages. People didn't follow what the gospel is teaching. But eventually, after the Protestant movement, gradually people woke up, started to read their gospel, and they realized if I'm a leader, I need to really respect my follower or delegates, even like Jesus washed their feet,
Right? Yeah.
That humility is very creative. So I was fully amazed in the university because of my study. And then after that, the Lord Jesus opened the door for me to go to a church and hear a spiritual thing. That just amazed me, those spiritual things. Um, the teaching I heard from them, it was totally different to the teaching of other religions.
Mm.
They were describing God's character in the gospel totally different to the character of gods in other religions. God in the Bible is a relational God,
Yeah.
whereas God in all other religions are impersonal God. They are non-relational God. They are unknown God, actually. They are following unknown God.
Yeah.
And then they claim to be able to teach about God. Your God is unknown. How can you teach about that?
And here our
Only
God is.
God is known in the Bible. The
Yeah.
Word became flesh to
Yeah.
make himself known to people.
Yeah.
It was just amazing to me that my Creator is known, is personal, so I can have personal relationship with Him. And that amazed me. I started to read the Gospel. It just Gospel thoroughly amazed me in every way. Um, I discovered that Jesus in the Gospel is the only person to have a right definition for love.
Hmm.
He says love must be unconditional. Love in all other religions and ideologies are relevant love. They're conditional love. But I discovered that Jesus is rational. He's logically right. You need to love your beloved one 100%. You don't say to your wife or your husband, honey, I love you 85%.
Right. I don't.
You have to love 100% because less than that is the betraying love.
Mm.
I was truly amazed. I
Yeah.
said, wow.
Well, we see
This
that
guy is
example,
very logical.
right? We see that example from Jesus, right? He certainly loves us unconditionally because we don't always love him 100% in our stumbles
Exactly.
and faults, but
Yeah.
his love is unending. That's amazing. I love that. You have a ministry called Exodus from Darkness.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the work of that ministry and
Yeah.
what's the core message that you're trying to convey through your work.
Our ministry is an apologetic, evangelistic ministry. So I travel worldwide. I can't go to Islamic countries,
Right.
but I speak in different venues and compare, the nature of gods and reveal why Jesus is superior to all other gods and how do we use them as, key factors of evangelism for impacting other people. And so our ministry, if people want to chase my talks, is at exodusfromdarkness.org, and my email is sevenspirits@gmail.com, so they can contact me. And I've got a lot of talks in many media channels, and they can watch it and see how God is using in an amazing way. I have been able to lead Muslim scholars, Muslim among rank and file Muslims, and people from other nations to the Lord, because we have reason in Jesus Christ, for everything.
Yeah.
And other religions, other ideologies, they do not have any solid things for people. And that's why we need to really make our root in this, stronger in understanding fundamental things in other religions and being able to respond to the challenges of our contemporary time.
You hear a lot of stories from um, people that used to be Muslim that have found Jesus and Jesus appearing to them in dreams. I hear that testimony a lot from
Yeah.
ex-Muslims, I guess. Jesus obviously has a heart for Muslim people. What do you say to somebody that's maybe stumbled on this conversation and thinking about following Jesus? What do you say to them?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had dream. I had dream myself. My
Huh.
wife had dream. A lot of Muslims are having. And my message to Muslims are: you have to search for the higher level of your dignity. And you cannot do that unless you step out of your circle of Islam and read other religions. You need to read the Quran in comparison with the gospel and see why Christianity is good in every way. You need that. You need to really, break, that fear, walk beyond that fear just for the sake of your own dignity, your family,
Mm.
and your relative, because you need to have the best in your life. Everybody loves to have the best. I mean, we are created in a way to have the best. We don't take our money to go to a car dealer and say, I want a worse car.
Yeah.
No, we just want the best.
Yeah.
And Muslims, Hindus, and every other nation, socialists, really need to have the best. You cannot have the best unless you cross that limited circle of your ideology and go beyond it and search it and discover it. You can find it in Jesus Christ, all of those, and your highest level of dignity in Jesus Christ.
Love that. Now, similar question, but a bit different. What do you say to Christians, especially here in Canada? Um, over the last few decades, we've kind of shifted how we share our faith. We're very cautious. We don't want to offend friends or neighbors, right? What do you say to us Christians that are a little hesitant to share our faith with our Muslim neighbors?
When you fall in love with someone, you're not quiet.
Hmm.
If you
Huh.
have a child, you love your child, you speak about your child.
Yeah.
I was just coming, your driver was driving me, he was speaking about
Craig
his,
talking
his
about his daughter.
little
He
baby
never
daughter.
quits talking about his
That's
daughter.
the,
That's a great
it's
point.
that's the nature of love. You
Yeah.
never quiet,
Wow.
keep quiet.
Huh.
When you fall in love with someone, especially 100%,
Yeah.
you speak. Especially when you understand that person is the best person in the world. And that's not the end of the story. When you know Jesus deeply in every way, you need to know Jesus concerning your individual freedom, in comparison with the definition other people, other ideologies have for freedom. You need to compare your family with them. You need to compare your organizational culture with them. In everything you see, you have the best model in your life. You see, when you have the best model in your life, best model manifests itself, reflects itself. When you call something best, you have to reflect that person. If you think you're a Christian, Jesus is living in your life, you're not reflecting his values, you need to read the gospel again. I think you haven't understood Jesus well.
Yeah.
Jesus is the light of the world. Jesus is going to make your family light, your own individual life light,
Yeah.
your society light. People are going to be in peace and reconciliation with each other. Justice will flourish everywhere. So you need to speak about it.
Yeah. And people are attracted to that light, right? When you're shining that light, well, people are coming and want to know,
Yeah.
where's that light coming from in you? And then I've been guilty of it myself. And then I get shy and I feel, oh, like, well, I have faith, but you don't have to believe if you don't want. It's okay, right? But I love that. Just a great reminder how important it is to be bold in sharing the good news of Jesus.
That's for the best of all. I mean, we are not
Yeah.
attacking them.
Right.
We are just trying to offer them the best.
Yeah.
Why should we become shy?
Yeah.
There's
Love that. If we want to find out more about your work and what you're up to and the work that you do all around the world, tell us how we could do that.
Well, just pray for me.
Nice.
And remember me. And those who are encouraged, call me. I speak in your churches. This is the way. I mean, God has really done amazing thing in my life, opened everything for me. So I love to share my encouragement with you and with churches, with others, because we need to really help the Western people to go back to their roots. The civilization in the West is coming from the pages of the gospel. So this is what I'm doing. I'm helping them, but I need a lot of prayers. I've been attacked so many times.
Oh, I believe.
4 times, terroristic attack, 6 times, a vicious attack. I was very close to be killed. But I believe in the sovereignty of the Lord. As long as I'm living, he has a time for me, and I need to speak about him.
I just hear the words of Jeremiah in my head as you're sharing that. And he was attacked so often for sharing God's word, right?
Yeah.
And he wanted to quit. But in Jeremiah chapter 20, he says, oh, every time I say I'm not going to share your word anymore, God, it just starts burning in me like a fire, and I can't help but let it out. Dr. Daniel, thank you so much for sharing just a bit of your story today. Absolutely incredible. The ministry, again, it's called The Exodus from Darkness. You can find that online. And take a moment to pray for Dr. Daniel and CHVN family, and maybe let's get a little more bold in sharing our faith with our neighbors. Again, Dr. Daniel, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.